Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room.
Except Texas. Matt Brown still sucks.
There's the blitz. Touchdown, Lehman. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Williams got him on the blitz. Lehman on the pick.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
I hate that guy.
Whoa.
Dave Bartu. We are in the Matrix.
Hey, NFL fan, Dave Bartu here, the CFB Matrix. But for purposes of the Pro Athletes Hemp Association, which I fully support, it's going to be NFL Matrix. In fact, I got a note to self. I need a coupon code that says NFL Matrix for everybody tuning in. All the segments going forward going to be brought to you by the Pro Athletes Hemp Association in cooperation with the Pro Football Retired Players Association and its 22,000 former players. The Pro Athletes Hemp Association offers professional strength CBD and full spectrum CBD hemp products shipped to all 50 states. So if you're looking for a natural way to battle aches, pains, inflammation, sleep, anxiety, you need recovery post-workout, go to hempforpros.com. Support health and wellness programs for former professionals because a piece of every sale is put aside for the PFRPA. Use coupon code CFB Matrix for 20% off at hempforpros.com. Now, as for the products we use here at Matrix Manor, for myself, number one, cooling gel. Comes in a roll-on, strongest product they make in a topical. It fights everything that inflames in my body, as I'm not old, but getting there. Elbows hurt, back hurt, knees hurt from arthritis, you name it. So I got a bottle of that in my truck, got a bottle of it in my golf bag, because it works great warming up for golf, even on the course, because it's so fast acting. But the gel, some people don't like the stickiness of those kind of gels. So my wife, for her aches and pains, uses the lemongrass lotion all the time. For sleep, it's the sleep capsules or full spectrum gummies at the Hemp4 Pros website. Now, this is my first jump into the NFL for Hemp4 Pros, and I'll be posting most of my NFL work going forward right here on the site. So tune in. This isn't going to be, well, it might be the only one if you don't think this is cool, but if you're an NFL fan, especially right now, 2 weeks before the draft, I got some cool stuff that we're going to talk about. I'm going to start in the NFC East, but over the next 2 weeks, I am going to cover the entire NFL, and I am going to break down the NFL draft history of every team and its behavior and its results for the last 10 years. The farther I dig into this, the cooler it gets. Every hour, it seems like, in the last couple of days I started doing this, has been an epiphany of trying to find how teams are behaving, how to assess their front office, their ability to draft, their ability to sign free agents, where they're coming from, where they fail. Oh, this is, I think it's really cool stuff. But the reason I started with the NFL, obviously with the Pro Athletes Hemp Association, you look at the guys that it's supporting former NFL players, but also talking to some of the endorsers right now. I'll start with focusing on their teams. I'm gonna start today in the NFC East. Charlie Garner played at Philadelphia Eagles and the Niners, so I'm going to hit the Niners. Mike Singletary, obviously, his career at Chicago, so I'm going to hit Chicago early. I'm going to hit Pittsburgh, Merrill Hodge early. Ron Mix. If you never heard of Ron Mix, Ron played for the USC Trojans. He had his career mostly at the Chargers. NFL Hall of Famer, top 100 player all time. Look him up, too. And so we're going to hit the Chargers early as well. But the focus over the next 2 weeks is going to be on the NFL draft. But the first question I actually had come up is as it relates to the Cowboys. And the question had to do with over the last 10 years, because I got the 10-year profile of everybody in the draft. The question is, with McClay taking a new position, publicly announced, I should say, position 5 years ago as a liaison between coaching and the draft group, how has that impacted the results of the draft? And I don't really have an opinion on it, but I'm going to give you the numbers. I'm going to walk you through this, and you can ask more questions of me, because there'll be follow-up here. You can ask questions in the comments below, and I'll follow up on all of them. But I'm going to give you the numbers as I see it for the Cowboys, round by round, and you decide if there's really been that big of a change. So let's start with the first round. And there's two distinct groups or periods of drafting that we're talking about. We're talking about 2012 through 2016. That's your first 5-year period. So everybody drafted in that period and their starts from 2012 through 2016. So if a guy was drafted in 2012, you got 5 years of starts potentially. If a guy's drafted in 2016, you only have 1 year. But to compare that, we're doing the same thing, or I'm going to do the same thing for 2017 through 2021. 5-year period, 2017 guys drafted. So it's going to weight a little bit more towards 12, 13, 14 and 17, 18, 19. But it'll give you kind of an idea of draft success by round as we go through this. So from 2012 to 2016, the first round picks. So Dallas had 5 first round picks, which produced 197 starts. Conversely, from 2017 through 2021, they only had 4 picks, but it only produced 96 starts. Now, someone pointed out to me that one of those first round picks was traded for Amari Cooper, which created 43 starts. So if you add 43 starts for that first round pick, and that's some deep minutia that I'm not going to ever go into very often, it was just brought up in conversation with some Cowboys. So 43 and 96, we're at 139. So 5 draft picks in the first round for the last 5 years, 139 starts, 5 draft picks. Over the previous 5 years, 197. Let's kind of lean toward the first round picks 5 years ago. Second round, Cowboys only had 3 picks from 12 through 16, netted 23 starts. Now, one of those guys, again, a little bit minutia, was DeMarcus Lawrence. We're not trading that pick for anything, right? That is a great second round pick. But the 3 picks they had in the second round from 12 to 16 netted 23 starts. Not so great. 5 picks from 17 to 21 created 127 starts. So now when you combine the first and second round, in composite, we're looking at 260 starts versus about 220 starts from 2012 through 2016. So we're leaning a little bit towards changes made in the last 5 years. Third round's been great for Dallas. 2012 through 2016 created 151 starts. 2017 through 2021 created 122 starts. Now in the first 3 rounds, we are less than 10 starts difference with slightly more picks. Okay, the Cowboys from 2016 or 2017 through 2021 had 16 picks. 2012 through 2016, 13 picks. So starts per pick was better for the Cowboys, but overall starts were slightly better in the last 5 years. Fifth round or fourth round, 67 starts in the last 5 years versus 74 starts in the previous 5. But again, 7 picks the last 5 years, 5 picks the previous 5 years. So overall starts about even. Now we've gotten to the point through 4 rounds where number of starts generated is virtually even for the last 5 years versus the previous 5 years. Few more picks, though, for the last 5 years. 5th round, and I'll get to this theory a little bit later, and maybe it's for Dallas, maybe it's for all of the NFL, I'm not sure. The 5th round, number of starts generated. 3 picks, both sections, 2012 through 2016, 3 picks. 3 picks in 17 through 21. 0 starts the last 5 years, 10 starts the previous. The 5th round is, you got 6 picks that didn't generate squat. And skipping ahead, same thing for the 7th round. Okay, 3 picks and 4 picks, so 7 total picks, 13 total starts out of the 7th round. Are these picks more valuable being traded away for another player? And again, talking to Cowboys, an example, traded a 5th round pick for Robert Quinn, who had 12 sacks, blew up. Bears signed him, and Dallas got a compensatory 3rd or 4th round pick for him. So you got him for a whole year for a pick that historically, the last decade, dude, the last decade for the Cowboys, you are looking at 7 and 6, 13 5th and 7th round draft picks, 23 freaking starts. Robert Quinn had, 16 starts 1 year all by himself. And then you got a 3rd or a 4th round for it, which you draft well at. So something to think about. Are those 5th, 6th, 7th even worth it? Now the 6th round, slightly in favor of the last 5 years. 66 starts versus 40. 5 picks the last 5 years. 4 picks the previous 5 years. So a little bit edge towards the last 5 years. And that's in the 6th round. So altogether, we are looking at 29 picks previous 5 years. 34 picks the last 5 years. 484 starts and 502 starts. Now it's 502 from the previous 5 years, 2012 through 2016, 484 for the last 5 years. So hardly any difference. 5 more picks, though, in the last 5 years. Now, where is that made up? Undrafted rookie free agents. Dallas, 59 starts in the last 5 years. 2012 to 2016, 44 starts. 543 starts the last 5 years, 546 the previous 5 years. Almost identical. And if you look at the numbers, other than the first round and second round flip-flopping strength, overall it's very similar. Now, I'm not going to go into the overall NFC East right now. That's going to be the next podcast. We will break down Dallas's total numbers relative to everybody else. Or actually, if you're an Eagle fan, a Commanders fan, or a Giants fan, you're going to see how all this breaks down. And let me tell you something. It is cool. I'm literally, when I'm done with this, I'm going into that one because it is awesome in terms of the numbers generated. So that's how everything breaks down for Dallas, the last 5 years versus the previous 5 years. I would say it's not a lot of difference, but I'll leave that up to you to draw your conclusions and ask me some more questions. If I'm missing something, point something out, ask a question. We'll try to get some more clarity to this. But I thought it was an interesting breakdown of how they have fared round by round. Here's one more cool little nugget to think about. Entire NFC East, 26% of all starts made over the last 10 years were by first-round picks, either drafted by the team or picked up as a free agent from another team. So over a quarter of all the games started come from the first round. As for the second round, 17% of all starts in the NFC East teams come out of the second round. So combined, nearly 44% of all the starts in the NFC East over the last 10 years come from the guys drafted in the first 2 rounds. So I'm going to go through that round by round. We're going to take a look at how Dallas, Philadelphia, Washington, and the Giants all flesh out. And then in the end, we'll take a look at it compared to the rest of the NFL. But this is just a quick breakdown of the last 10 years, split in half, of Dallas Cowboy drafting and what I perceive as success in the draft. To me, starts are everything. That's what you're looking for, is starters. Whether it's in the draft or free agent, it's all about getting quality starters. A lot of guys get games played, but not a lot of guys get to start. So, hope you enjoyed this first segment. I hope you enjoyed this first segment of the NFL Draft Matrix, again brought to you by the Pro Athletes Hemp Association. Would love to get your feedback and your questions. Leave them below in the comments so I can see what you're thinking about this, or if you have any questions, I'll address it in the next podcast. This is Dave Bartu, the NFL Matrix. Thank you for joining me.